News Radio KMAN weather.
Right now in Manhattan, 53 degrees with overcast skies, wind out of the west at just 3 miles per hour. Still a slight chance of scattered showers as we head into the evening at 40%. Some fog tonight with a low around 43. Also that fog tomorrow morning should be clearing out through mid-morning with a high near 54 and sunny skies in the afternoon, wind gusting as high as 30. Tomorrow night clear and a low around 27, mostly sunny and a high near 43 on Wednesday. Wildcat Insider is next on News Radio KMAN.
KMAN Daily Weather is presented by Fox Business Systems. How much does downtime cost you and your business? Don't let another second go by. Call Fox Business Systems at 776-1452.
The following is an exclusive presentation of News Radio KMAN, your home for K-State athletics. This is Wildcat Insider with the Mercury sports editor Tim Everson and KMAN sports director Mitch Fortner.
Well, K-State fans, somehow the Wildcats running for 472 yards and Joe Jackson finishing with a program best 293, passing Darren Sproul's record for a single-day rushing game by 1 yard, is somehow storyline number 3. Coming out of a loss at Utah, Cats fall to the Utes, who are still competing for a spot in the college football playoff, 51-47. Now, with the running game, man, who saw that coming? An unbelievable performance. Yet, there's some controversy about the stripes on the field, and Coach Kleiman, very emotional in the post-game press conference. Welcome to Wildcat Insider. We're with you for a couple of hours today. Mitch Fortner, Tim Everson from PowerCat Game Day in the Manhattan Mercury, Cole Dutchendorf, who will have the play-by-play call of Saturday's 6A state championship game between Manhattan High and Olathe Northwest. Will be a 1 o'clock kickoff from Emporia State's Welsh Stadium. That means pregame coverage will be at 12:30. Not on K-Man. That'll be on B1047. It's because this year the TV people decided not to do me a favor this year. So I could go to Emporia, try to double dip. K-State Colorado on Saturday will kick off at 11 a.m. PowerCat Game Day will be at 7 in the morning. I could tell you what channel it's going to be on. You're either going to be there or you just don't care at this point. Or you just would rather watch another football game because you got Ohio State, Michigan at that time. You got another, Miami, Pitt at that time. Not a lot of people are going to be watching K-State Colorado, but the Cats are playing for bowl eligibility with that 11 a.m. kickoff. First time Colorado has been to the Bill, I believe, since 2009. I think it was 2009. 9 or 10 is the last time. The Colorado Buffaloes were at the Bill. Tim, my goodness. Joe Jackson with 293 yards. If I would have quizzed you before the game, like I always do a trivia question of the game on PowerCat Game Day, and if I would have asked you prior to this game, Darren Sproles has the record for the best rushing day in program history. Who was that against and what year was it? Would you have been able to tell me, would anybody have been able to tell me the answer to that question?
No. I feel like that was a 2004 game.
It was a 2004 game, but it was really forgettable.
Yeah, a lost season in general, and then
that was up to this point maybe the most disappointing season in program history was 2004. But yet on a warm September day back in 2004, Darren Sproles ran for 292 against, at the time they were known as the University of Louisiana Lafayette Raging Cajuns.
I was at that game.
I was too, and I remember it like the back of my hand because I'm a big Darren Sproles guy. But of all people, and I want to talk a little bit later on in the show exactly how K-State was able to pull off this incredible rushing day against one of the best rushing defenses in America of all teams, of all places to do it. When you got so many guys banged up, K-State was able to rattle off 472 yards of rushing. Plus, I mean, Antonio Martin had 89, 72 from Avery Johnson. Quay Moss had an 18-yard run in this game because K-State's so banged up, need a guy or two to play both ways, and Quay Moss got an opportunity on a jet sweep.
Yeah, I think this kind of puts it perfectly. K-State had runs of 44, 37, 66, 33, 58, 80, 33, and 24.
I wrote those down as well, but I put an 11 in there because it was a first down run of 11 yards.
Oh, gotcha.
I'll throw that in the big play category. But absolutely. But yet, the headlines was about a couple of other things. We'll talk about, let's lead off with Chris Kleiman because we were not at the game. Shout out to Go PowerCat and K-State Online that both posted the post-game press conference on YouTube. I would highly suggest to go watch it if you haven't seen it yet. But Coach Kleiman was very frustrated after the loss to where he was in tears.
Heartbroken for the kids and for the loss. But it's one of the greatest efforts I've been a part of.
Yeah, I mean, that was just the first 3 seconds of it. And it went on to be about almost a 3-minute long opening statement about the emotions of this team, the team still being, bought in, and then, for weeks now, if not months, of, criticism and people outside the program talking about the program, about coaches need to be fired, and, all this, it's all negative towards the football team because of a highly disappointing season. And it looks like, with the emotions of the game and the locker room, I'm sure, was in tears, that the pickle jar of emotions was finally opened up. And for, ball coaches, I'm sure publicly that's a very hard thing to open and express your feelings, and it all pours out. But here was Chris Kleiman after the game about being tired about the outside criticism.
We're down so many players, and I know a lot of people thought we'd come over here and lay down, and that maybe the kids had cashed it in, because I've heard it enough. I've heard I've cashed it in. I've heard the players have cashed it in. We need to get new leadership here. We need to get new players, new coaches. I'm tired of it. I gotta be honest with you, I'm tired of it.
And then I've cut this down for timing. I've cut down some of the gaps in sentences from Kleiman here, and this was cut down as well for timing. But this is more about Kleiman continuing on with his statement about dedicating his time and his life to K-State.
Given my friggin' ass life for this place for 7 years. I've given everything for 7 years, and I think I deserve a little bit of respect.
So with K-State losing that game, they're up 2 scores twice in the second half. It evaporates early third quarter, and then you build it up again. Utah scores with less than a minute to go to, that was the game-winning score. I mean, I didn't really go into this game like most people. I like going along with the thoughts of nobody saw this coming. I did not go in, and I was one of many. I was one of everybody that didn't think K-State could win this game, and that, Vegas, what did they have, this 17.5-point favorite for Utah or something like that, that K-State didn't really have a shot, and a part of that does have to play into the success of the season, what we've seen them do in the previous 10 games, and also a lot of guys are banged up. I mean, you have to take everything into consideration. So, no, I personally, I did a show for Utah radio. I did that on Thursday, and they just asked me about the feelings of football right now, and I was like, well, yeah, everybody's down right now. This has been a disappointing season. So many people, invested their time and money into going to Ireland, and then that didn't start out well. And then North Dakota comes in, and you almost lose to those. Like, it was just right out of the gate a disappointing start. And ups and downs, yes, there has been a brief run there of success, but it just hasn't been a fun season. Leading to I should say not speculation, but criticism the people are disappointed with this team. People are not as big of a fan of Chris Kleiman right now because it's been just 3 straight years of kind of disappointing results. Even though we look back and 8 wins really isn't that bad, but it's about looking at the future and about how this is kind of a bad time to be going in the wrong direction with your football program. But I was still, very surprised to see how emotional Chris Kleiman was after the game. I wasn't expecting tears. It just kind of like it felt like his emotions had hit some sort of rock bottom, and that my thought is the reason he was so emotional was I could tell that probably the locker room was just an absolute mess. You lose a game like that, you go into a game that nobody was thinking you could win. You play your asses off, especially, offensively, just an insane game of running the football. And it comes down to that final minute, you just couldn't get that one more stop in what was a shootout. And the players, I'm sure, have some of the same frustrations as the coaches do, we do, and that everybody kind of maybe kept a little something bottled up, and it just poured out because of that end result in Utah. And Kleiman probably had a lot that was bottled up, and it just kind of spewed out. It all came out in that post-game press conference, all the emotions.
Yeah, it's hard to fault him for, reacting the way that he did. I think that this has been an incredibly tough season. Look, K-State, 5 one-possession losses. They're 17 points away from those 5 losses being wins. That's just that mounts on you, and then you add in all the injury concerns. You add in the Dylan Edwards crisis, which I think was maybe taking a larger toll on him behind the scenes than maybe people thought at the time. Just because of how it was affecting everything else around them and the offense and how they had to plan for things. The NIL stuff, college football being the way that it is, it can build up, especially, and it's easier to handle those things when things are going well, when you're winning. But when you're not, it's tough, and you're having to try probably even harder to keep kids bought in, to keep recruiting where it is, and not lose kids to other places, and it's just it is tough. It is very, very, very tough right now to be a Division I FBS football coach. I say that, reckon it 100%. I also say that is why they get paid millions upon millions of dollars to do that job. It is they earn it 100%. It is hard, and the scrutiny is up there with almost any other job in the country when things aren't going your way. But that is the job. That is, I wonder. Chris Kleiman has had so much success in his career, so much success at K-State. He hasn't really, you have to go back to his first season at Loras College to find a team that he was head coach of that underperformed, that ended with a losing record. It's just not something that he does. That's just not something that he's been a part of. And so I would also imagine that builds into the frustration, because that's not his expectation. That's not the program's expectation. It's not the fans' expectation to be in this place. And so to have kind of, to be this close to bowl eligibility and beating a top 12 team in the country and finally being able to be like, see, we're not, we are something. It didn't work out. There were some circumstances beyond our control, but we are something. And then to have that slip away in as painful a fashion as it did, yeah, I think it makes total sense why things transpired the way that they did. I don't, I've never seen something like that. I've never, something about Utah makes athletics directors come and do stuff at the press conferences. But I thought that what Gene did was very good. I thought that it was very kind of him. Obviously, they're very good friends. You see him struggling. I think honestly, what that Gene starting to walk up to him at the end kind of made him break a little bit more, because I think that you could tell he realized, like, oh man, now Gene is going to have to come talk to me, and this is starting to get away from me a little bit.
Well, here was Gene Taylor. This was from shout out to K-State Online, because Gene's talking to Kleiman, giving him a hug after 2.5 minutes of the opening statement. Kleiman breaks down a little bit more, and here is Gene heard on the hot mic.
You ain't going anywhere, brother. Okay? Understand that. We got your back. We got your back. Okay? All about.
Yeah, I remember Kellis Robinette asking a little bit later on after that, like, is there anything particular that's making you more emotional than you have been in games prior, or something like that? And Kleiman said, you know why, which made me wonder, like, is he hinting at, like, there's so much heat from the fans that does K-State need to make a move or something this year and get rid of Kleiman, and then Gene at that time comes up and says you're not going anywhere, which I've never thought at all this year that Kleiman would even be close to be leaving unless he decided to leave to go for another job or anything like that. There's no doubt in my mind that he'd be coming back for next year. Teams have a down year. This is, no doubt K-State's biggest down year under Kleiman. I don't count the COVID year. Every other year has been at least 8 wins. Kleiman is not going anywhere. I don't think he should go anywhere because he's had quite a bit of success, won a Big 12 title in year number 4. But yes, have these seasons since 2022 been lower than my expectations? Yes, I think they have been. And I think that's where it's now bottling up for the fans, where it's just kind of feels like it's been kind of a downhill ride ever since winning the Big 12 in 22. And honestly, I do think that is fair because I've been disappointed as well.
You can't, and this was the same thing with Jerome Tang. You can't demand, so much out of the fans and say, hey, we're going to hold this program to a higher standard. Our standard is we're a Big 12 championship game standard program. We built it there. Okay, but that is where fans are going to hold you. And while I think that obviously, us in the media, we get people on Twitter saying like ridiculous, stupid things to us, and it can affect us. So and then we're a small fraction of the stuff that players and coaches get. I get that builds up over time, but I think that it would be more helpful. I know it's tough to control, but it would probably be more helpful in those situations to lean on those expectations, say we're not meeting them, we're working on it. It almost never, ask Bruce Weber, it almost never is good to turn it around on the fans and try to, say the fans are out to get you or doing stuff like that. It just always, whether you're right or you're wrong, it always looks bad. You're not gonna win over the people that you think you're gonna win over doing that. You're gonna make the people that are already on your side more empathetic with your situation. So that was probably my I understand and I feel like I feel like he should be allowed to do that, to have that emotion, but I don't know. After it's tough to do that and then say from a podium that you deserve respect, because as many people have said, respect isn't, it's
not
earned.
Given, it's earned. Yeah.
It's earned, and I think that if Kleiman feels like he's earned that respect, I think that is true. But I think that it is also fair to realize that this season has been kind of a nightmare in a lot of ways. And fans aren't in the locker room every day, and they're not with you in practice, and they don't care about that. That may not be fair, but they don't. And yeah, that's the bottom line. And that may not be fair, but it kind of is what it is.
Yeah, and to me, mostly what that was, I was very surprised to see be such an emotional loss for the team that the press conference went in the direction it did, and Chris Kleiman felt like, as emotional as he was, he had to address that part of the season. I still don't think less. I'll put it that way. I don't think less of Kleiman because of what took place. All right, we'll take a break. Let's get to storyline number 2 out of this game, because I still want to, of course, talk about K-State men's basketball going second place in the Hall of Fame Classic. But when we come back, there was the other big storyline outside of K-State running for 472 yards was, well, did K-State get hosed by the referees? There were some, quote-unquote, not quoting the coaches, I'm quoting the fans, controversial calls that costed K-State. Was the Big 12, the Big 12 behind K-State losing this game and, protecting the teams that are up for the college football playoff. Like, it's gone to, from controversy to conspiracy theory. But we'll talk about some of the decisions the Stripes decided to make during that second half against K-State. That's coming up next on Wildcat Insider.
You're listening to Wildcat Insider.
This Saturday is Senior Day at Bill Snyder Family Stadium as the Wildcats wrap up the regular season hosting the Colorado Buffaloes. Kickoff is set for 11 a.m. That means PowerCat Game Day, the biggest pregame show in the Big 12, will start at 7 a.m. PowerCat Game Day brought to you by Prairie Land Partners, Orthopedic and Sports Medicine Center, Culver's, and the McCain Performance Series. Listen to PowerCat Game Day on 101.5 K-Rock, News Radio KMAN, and online at PowerCatGameDay.com.
Hi, I'm Carla Hagemeister with Flint Hills Breadbasket. Food insecurity is growing in our community. In 2023, over 16% of Riley County residents were food insecure, and we are serving more people today than ever before. The people we serve are your neighbors, your students, your employees, your family, and your friends. The need for help has gone from 400 families a week to 600 families and is still growing. You can donate food, money, and your time to help your neighbors. Visit FlintHillsBreadBasket.org today to join our efforts to ensure that everyone has access to the healthy food they need to thrive.
Change begins in the light within.
Enter the mystery January 31st. Light MHK presents The Light Within, a phantom's ball for change. Beneath the masks and chandeliers lies a greater purpose, raising funds for those who need mental health care and hope. Bid in the live and silent auctions and let your generosity light the way. Find your mask, find your light, find your tickets at lightmhk.com. That's lightmhk.com. Presented by Manhattan Broadcasting and Light MHK.
Are you prepared for the future? Ensuring your legacy and protecting your loved ones start with estate planning from Adair Law. From wills to trust to powers of attorney, the team at Adair Law will create a personalized plan that reflects your wishes and secures your assets for generations to come. Thinking about the future isn't always easy, but planning your estate can be. With Adair Law, you can protect what matters most, your family and your legacy. Don't leave their future to chance. Secure your peace of mind today with Adair Law. Protecting clients with compassion is what they do. Call 785-776-2000 today.
Why drive hours to catch a flight? Manhattan Regional Airport brings the world closer, right from your backyard. Enjoy the convenience of flying local, with daily service to Chicago and Dallas, making global connections easier than ever. Fast, friendly, stress-free. Soar from Manhattan, Kansas, and get closer to where you want to be. Fly smart. Fly local. Fly MHK.
For area high school scores, recaps, league standings, and coach interviews, check out Scoreboard Saturday at 8 a.m. during football and basketball season, including coverage of the Centennial League, NCKL, Big East League, Flint Hills League, and the Twin Valley League. Scoreboard Saturday on News Radio KMAN is powered by WTC Communications. I'm Cole Dutchendorf with a Wildcat Insider Sports Update brought to you by Bottle Cap Sports Bar. K-State football experienced an offensive revival on Saturday, but it still unraveled into a painful defeat. Despite rolling to a program-high rushing total and leading by double digits twice in the second half, the Wildcats watched number 12 Utah erase its second 10-point deficit in the final minutes, falling 51-47 in a stunning road collapse. Up next, 5 and 6 K-State will host Colorado for Senior Day on Saturday. Kickoff at 11 a.m. with Power Cat Game Day at 7 in the morning. K-State still playing for bowl eligibility. K-State men's basketball nearly found a way Friday night crawling out of a 15-point first-half hole, but the Wildcats fell 86-85 to undefeated Nebraska in the championship game of the Hall of Fame Classic in the T-Mobile Center. Nebraska hit a game-winning free throw with 0.6 seconds left in a game that featured 13 lead changes and 11 ties. The now 5-1 Wildcats will play its first true road game Tuesday night as the Wildcats travel to face unbeaten Indiana at Assembly Hall. Tip set for 7 p.m. K-State women's basketball lost on the road Saturday, falling to Green Bay 47-44 after a second-half rally. K-State will now travel to Cancun, Mexico to take part in the Cancun Challenge for the first time since 2018, facing Colombia on Thanksgiving at 12:30.
Does Everybody Hurts?
It is.
Okay. Who's this by?
REM.
Oh, that's right. Wildcat Insider continues. Mitch Fortner, Tim Everson, and Cole Dutchendorf with you today. Looks like KU basketball just won at the Player Era Festival, 71-61. By the way, how about the Big 12 announcing? I think they announced it, right? Or just maybe the Players Era Festival announced it as well. Big 12 is going to net $50 million in NIL deals for hoops because of this event deal. They have teamed up with the Players Era. Now it's going to expand even further. I think it started a couple of years ago. 32 teams will start playing in the event next year, and the Big 12 is going to get 8 automatic bids for that. And let's see, it's 18 teams this year. Last year was 8. And then everybody's going to be paid $1 million to play 2 or 3 games in this thing for the half of the league that makes it in. So this is a hell of a move by Brett Yormark that is continuing to strengthen the value of the Big 12. There's going to be more quality games for each team that's going to play. This doesn't obviously hurt the Big 12 whatsoever in that area when it comes to the net rankings and all that stuff. So, just keeping it kind of simple right now. But, I mean, I know down the road as well, I mean, Yormark wants a media rights deal for basketball, period. And this is, I mean, what a major step in the right direction. I think this is one of the best things Brett Yormark has done for the conference so far, building up the Big 12 brand, especially in basketball, being now a part of this Players Era. I mean, if you look at the field, and they have women's basketball too, but, I mean, you got who's in this? Houston, Baylor, Iowa State, Kansas, Tennessee, you got Auburn, St. John's is in this, and that's a top 15 team. I know there's a couple I think Gonzaga is playing in this. This is like the early season. It's not really a tournament. It's really more of kind of a round-robin type of thing. But now this is like the big. It's bigger than Maui. It's bigger than Atlantis and all that.
It was interesting to hear Bill Self talk about it a little bit because, they were like regularly going to the Maui Invitational, and like this is kind of killing.
Yes.
Those going to the Bahamas because you got to pay. You got to pay to get your team out there and everything. And now instead of doing all that, you can get paid.
Yes.
And you can just you can basically use the money that you get there to get a whole nother player for next year. I mean, it's a genius idea.
Yeah, you talk about incentive now to at least finish top 8. I mean, top 8 gets you in the NCAA tournament. All these NCAA tournament teams are not going to be for the Big 12 are now going to be playing, at least here in the near future, the Players Era Festival. That's taking place in Las Vegas. More from K-State football's loss to Utah, number 12 Utah, 51-47, which we were talking about this at the press conference today. We were talking about Pro Football Focus. I mean, if you're in the camp of thinking Pro Football Focus is ridiculous, it's not accurate, they're not very good at their job, what did they say? They said, this was Utah's, second best defensive game all year.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, there's no way that could be possible.
Behind like UC Irvine or whoever the hell else they played. Yeah.
They gave up 47 points. Like the most yards rushing that Utah had allowed this year is they had a couple of games a little over 200, actually 261 to West Virginia. But they'd also had some games at like 38, 65, 84, like some to cancel out. And like Utah does have one of the best rushing games according to the season numbers against the run. But giving up 472 yards on the ground, you don't deserve anything positive after that. It took everything the offense had to go win that game. No turnovers, other than at the end of the game with the interception.
Well, and then the defensive thing for PFF was only slightly less ridiculous than what they ranked K-State's run blocking.
What was that?
They said that it was the fourth worst run blocking performance of the season for
That's
K-State.
the best I had seen all season. I'm just using the eye test on this one, Tim, and some numbers, not too many metrics or anything. And we'll talk about this in hour number 2. That was the best.
Look, unless like they're just like laying down for you, I don't know how you can run for almost 500 yards and have that be a negative run blocking. Like you can only do what you can do, and they did enough to run for over almost 500 yards.
The other controversy, Tim, other than Chris Kleiman getting emotional at the press conference, not controversy, but the controversy of the game for K-State fans was some of the penalties or maybe the picked up flags in that second half against Utah. So, first of all, I was extremely upset with the defense on that first drive that K-State allowed Utah to score because of multiple penalties, third down penalties. You should be getting off the field. Nope, the drive is going to continue for Utah. I'm sorry, Ryan Davis, but your play on the targeting, I got to use this word, was one of the stupidest things I've ever seen a K-State player do. It was pretty egregious. It was way late. It was clearly targeting. It was, I would call it a dirty play, and it was very surprising to see. And after K-State's down so many guys, you then decide to try to make a play like that. And I thought that was absolutely ridiculous. Really outside of that, though, 3 things come to mind. The holding on what would have been Antonio Martin's second touchdown, that was like mid-third quarter, holding on Lincoln Cure, that ended up bringing the ball back to midfield. Let's see. There was the 2-point conversion that the ball's going to Lincoln Cure. The flag goes in the air for pass interference. Utah returns it for 2. And after a long discussion, and I'm sure Utah was replaying the play many times in the stadium, that the referees then decided to pick up the flag. And then, this may be out of order here, but then there was that 4th and 1 for Utah. I don't know. I can't remember if this was the drive to make it a 1-score game. I think it was. I want to say it was. Because Utah had then the long pass to the end zone to make it a 1-score game there with about 4 minutes to go. That K-State was substituting, right? K-State's running off the field. Not necessarily sprinting, but it's a jog off the field. It has to be at an athletic pace, as I was told. And then the referee that holds the center from snapping the football as K-State's running off the field at about the numbers, pulls away, and just barely, as the referee's getting out of the way, Utah snaps the ball as quickly as they possibly can. They get stuffed. Shout out to, who was it? I'm blanking on who set that run. Anyway, I'll pull it up here in a second. But K-State gets the stop, right? Well, because the referees allowed allowed Utah to snap the football before K-State gets off the field to sub. K-State's called for a penalty, 5 yards offsides, and the drive continues for Utah. And we know how that turned out after that. Utah scores a play or two later, and then K-State goes 3 and out on offense. Utah scores again, and that ended the game. First of all, just real quick, my thoughts. I did think it was holding on Lincoln. I didn't see enough to really give me an opinion on what happened on that 2-point conversion. I thought the substitution, K-State not allowed to get off the field, when that play went out of bounds on the Utah side, even if they don't substitute, by rule, K-State is allowed to substitute, and they weren't allowed to finish their substitution. And so I thought that was a huge problem. That was a ridiculous play that was allowed by the referees, that K-State deserves a big explanation, which Coach Kleiman said at the press conference they haven't gotten that yet.
No. Also,
Gabe Powers. Gabe Powers is the one that stopped that play.
They also, Kleiman said that they didn't get a warning. Like he said, normally if we're being a little too slow getting off the field or whatever, they get a warning. There was no warning, no nothing. It was just, nope. There you go. You can snap it. Oh, too many men on the field.
Well, and K-State's been doing this for years.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Like, they kind of invented how do we get away with this? Well, it's all by the rules, and we haven't college football, nobody's done anything to amend these rules to say, look, you got to sprint to get off. You got to hurry up. We got football to play.
Nice leisurely jog.
I remember in 2022 against Oklahoma, that's one of my first memories of, I can remember, Oklahoma was shooting itself in the foot with having to take timeouts or taking a delay game because they're waiting too late to sub, and then K-State was able to drag that last 15 seconds of the play clock to forcing Oklahoma to either take a timeout or take a delay game, and it was so it's one of the most genius things that I think K-State has done in these last 3 or 4 years to stretch that rule, to use it in their favor as a defense. To if the timing is right, you can make the other team take a timeout or delay a game. And the referees, in my opinion, unless I don't know something or I'm missing a bullet point in rule, section B, rule 74-ABCDF. Unless I'm forgetting something, that wasn't by the rule book. No. So K-State did get a little bit hosed, in my opinion, on that play.
And if it is by the rule book in some way, then literally every other official that K-State has done that with over the past 4 or 5 years has been doing it wrong.
That's true.
So
I'm surprised nothing has been changed because K-State does take its sweet time.
Yeah.
To get off the field. They will jog, and like I said, it's supposed to be at an athletic pace. Well, you got those. They're subbing those big D linemen. They're not the fastest. They're trying to save a little something in the tank. This is second half. They've been playing a lot of football. They're not they're not defensive backs.
You want them to pull something? Come on.
Yeah. You want them to bust their Achilles trying to get off the field? Come on. We need to be a little bit smarter about that. But the hold on Lincoln Cure, I thought it was absolutely a hold because, first of all, Lincoln, that was one of the best blocks of the year. Took the dude 30 yards down the field and just there's nothing that guy could do about it. He didn't try, I thought, to really get off the block, but he was, as Antonio was running by, did kind of hold on to his right arm. And so I did think that was a hold. K-State still scored. I believe they scored on that drive. Yeah. So they were able to make up for it. So I didn't think it was as controversial as Utah fans would turn around and argue, well, every time we scored one of our long touchdowns, we had a couple of holds that should have been called. Okay. But as I rewatched some of it, I thought it was pretty textbook blocking, really.
There's going to be holds. It's going to happen. It's just how egregious are they? That's weak. That's a weak argument.
But the Big 12, I think, owes Chris Kleiman an explanation on the substituting, the offsides call, because it made it a one-score game after that. But there's so many arguments you could go back and forth on that. It was just one play. Did it determine the game? It didn't. But yes, it did suck that K-State had a 2-score lead in that fourth quarter, and they weren't able to pull it off. We'll take a timeout. Still to come in hour number 2, we will get to the running game for K-State, how they were able to pull off 472 yards of running the football against Utah. It's a Rice-Eccles Stadium record. It's a new K-State record. Joe Jackson set a individual rushing record. A lot of records broken. How was K-State able to get that done? I think it was shades of what they were able to do against Colorado last year with DJ Giddens having some freak runs of his own. That's in hour number 2. Coming up next, try to get to some K-State men's basketball. If not, we'll get to it in hour number 2, along with the voice of the Cats, Wyatt Thompson, and, of course, last week in the Big 12. Coming up on Wildcat Insider.
You're listening to Wildcat Insider.
Can you help me access my work computer now that I'm working from home?
We can do that.
Is it possible for you to troubleshoot my computer without me coming into your store?
We can do that.
I'm getting messages that my password's been compromised by hackers.
We can.
And that I have malware installed.
We can.
I don't even go to the mall.
We can do all of that.
Fox Business Systems business level support. We can do that.
Call 776-1452 or stop by 531 Fort Riley Boulevard. WeBuildSolutions.com.
Orthopedic and Sports Medicine Center offers innovative, cutting-edge physical therapy, from blood flow restriction rehabilitation, dry needling, DARI-A biochemical movement analysis, fall prevention, and return to sport. OSMC Physical Therapy has over 75 years of combined treatment experience and deliver a successful and positive outcome while making the rehabilitation process pleasant and enjoyable. At Orthopedic and Sports Medicine Physical Therapy, no referrals are needed to schedule your therapy appointment. For more information, visit us at kansasortho.com.
Manhattan Broadcasting is keeping it local. Dollars spent locally today help build a better community for tomorrow.
Quality Collision is still open for business while they improve the intersection by the dam. Dodging a few orange cones is worth it to receive quality restoration. Keep your car looking as good as the day you bought it. Quality Collision, where quality is more than their name. It's a promise to their customers.
Connect to anywhere in the world with daily flights to Dallas and Chicago when you fly local with Manhattan Regional Airport. You'll spend less time driving, saving you gas and time. And more importantly, you'll get home quicker to the ones you love. Click your next flight at flymhk.com.
Turkey time is almost here. Make your Thanksgiving complete with the turkey cake from Baskin-Robbins, made with your favorite ice cream and covered in a caramel glaze, guaranteed not to be undercooked, dry, and it's deboned. Order now at BaskinRobbins.com or through the app. Baskin-Robbins, locally owned in downtown Manhattan.
Manhattan Broadcasting is keeping it local. Find more great local businesses plus special deals and offers when you keep it local on our website.
This holiday season, Meadowlark celebrates the people who make every day brighter. Our incredible team members. From nurses and caregivers to dining staff, therapists, and volunteers, your dedication fills our community with warmth, compassion, and joy. Thank you for making every day merry and meaningful. From all of us at Meadowlark, we wish you peace, laughter, and love this holiday season, and a joyful start to the new year. Meadowlark, celebrate your way.
Manhattan Broadcasting is an equal opportunity employer. In order to widely publicize our job opportunities and outreach programs and organizations that regularly distribute information to job seekers or refers candidates to employers, please contact us about our employment contact list to receive the most current information about station vacancies. For more information or to be added to the list, please contact Manhattan Broadcasting Company at 785-776-1350. Visit us at 2414 Casement Road in Manhattan, Kansas, or email frontdesk at 1350KMAN.com.
News Radio KMAN weather.
Right now, 53 and overcast in Manhattan. Fog tonight with a low around 43. That fog sticking around until around 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. High near 54 tomorrow. Wind could gust as high as 30 miles an hour out of the northwest. Clear in a low around 27 tomorrow night. Still that wind gusting as high as 25. Moving to Wednesday, that wind dying down. Mostly sunny skies and a high near 43. Wednesday night, partly cloudy. On Thanksgiving, sunny and a high near 45.
Well, K-State men's basketball is now 5-1 on the year. They go 1-1 at the Hall of Fame Classic in Kansas City. So we're back on Wildcat Insider. K-State beating Mississippi State on Thursday, 98-77, where P.J. Haggerty was just unstoppable as he finishes with 37 points, 7 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 steals. Had himself a hell of a night, 4 of 7 from 3. He was 13 of 21 from the field. Almost everybody that played in the game for K-State scored. K-State was clearly the better team. They had a tough time, though, completely pulling away from Mississippi State there until the end. The Cats scored 54 points in the second half. And then this game, Tim, I know you were there. I watched maybe the last 8 minutes, so I don't really have a great take on this without actually watching the game. But the Cats fall to Nebraska 86-85. They were down 15 in the first half. They storm back. They take the lead. This game had a lot of lead changes, a lot of ties. I think there was 20 combined, if I remember correctly. This time, P.J. Haggerty scores 27 points. Abdi Bashir finally going off, 7 from 15 from three-point range.
Ridiculous.
P.J. Haggerty now is the all-time leader in games of at least scoring 20 points to start a season. Now at 6, which he passes Michael Beasley, who was the previous record at 5. What were your takeaways from the Nebraska game? Another is a more higher scoring game than maybe it would have been a couple of years ago. I mean, to me, it looked like Nebraska. My big takeaway, really, if I had one, was that Nebraska had too many open looks at the rim, at the glass. Too many easy layups.
Yeah, defensively, things were still not, where they need them to be. I think the Nebraska game, it's almost easy in the sense of like, hey, don't fall into a 15-point first half hole. I mean, you're going to lose to a lot of teams if you do that. But I think it's huge that K-State was able to make an early second half run and take the lead. Obviously, you want to win that game. It would have been nice. It was a legit atmosphere in there. The day before, it was kind of sleepy in there for the semifinal games. I just thought that it was just kind of, there wasn't a whole lot of people in there. It just kind of was what it was. Saturday or Friday evening, though, like it was pretty much, I would say maybe 60-40 K-State Nebraska fans, and it was loud in there. Like it was a legit tournament style atmosphere, which is going to be good for this team to play in. I still feel good about this team, even I don't know how good Nebraska is going to be. They were picked near the bottom of the Big Ten, but they got some guys. Their guards were fast. K-State had a little bit of a problem with that. They were able to get to the rim, like Mitch said. But whenever K-State was able to turn it on offensively, once Abdi started hitting and once PJ started getting to his bag a little bit, there was just nothing stopping K-State on the offensive end. You just kind of fell behind too early for that really to make a difference late.
I was told Nebraska has the longest winning streak in America right now, dating back to last year. I'm looking at their schedule. The reason is because, and they're at the winning streak is 10 right now, dating back to last year. It's because they won the basketball crown.
Yeah.
A new tournament that K-State is like, we're good. UCF can go play in this tournament. We're not going to play in the basketball crown. And but Nebraska won that, and that's. I hope they hung a banner for that one. I'm with you as well. Like right now, Cal, Nebraska, Tulsa, not quite sure how good those teams are going to be. K-State's right now has been trying to grind out a lot of wins. This is the first time that they came up a little bit short. Another thought here as well is development right now is pretty key here in the non-conference for a number of guys. I think David is still developing. He didn't have his best day against Nebraska. Moby certainly, Dorian Buka. Absolutely, but especially Andre Kostic, who needs to be able to play more than 3 minutes in a game like that. They need him to really get going here soon. And not to trash the guy or anything, but C.J. Jones is not really a factor offensively, and I think defensively he made some mistakes down the stretch there that maybe made some mistakes on some switches and some not switching and, kind of left a guy open there. I have to go back and watch. But, K-State needs to maybe not play – how do I want to put this because I feel like I'm just piling on the guy. C.J. Jones, I think, is decent on defense, but offensively is not very good. I just try to keep it simple. I think that's being fair. So that's where – guys, I think, need to start stepping up for K-State to, they want to get the rotation down to 8. C.J. Jones probably is in that rotation. Nebraska had already figured all that out. Yeah. They already had their rotation down. Their minutes were down. The matchups that they wanted, I think they were just right now, they're more organized than what K-State is right now. They're running some better offensive sets than what K-State was running. So that's where K-State That's where the next steps need to come in. Development, slimming down the rotation a little bit, more organization, probably on both ends of the floor. Am I right or wrong?
No, I think you're right. The other person that I think needs to be better for K-State, Elias Rapiak, got himself into some trouble early on. Part of Nebraska kind of taking that early lead, where it was just some bad turnovers, bad possessions, and some of those were Elias. But it is a process, and I think that if you got to be encouraged by what you've seen so far, and they got to take that next step when they play tomorrow night.
I think we're going to skip last week in the Big 12. Look, it's going to be Texas Tech and BYU playing for the Big 12 championship. KU is going to lose out in football. Iowa State takes care of business there. Is there any other notes that we could bring up about last week in the Big 12? We're just now getting really cooking when it comes to Big 12 basketball. I mean, Arizona's now at number 2, I believe, in the country. Absolutely deserve it. They are on a roll right now. To begin the year, I think right now they are the best team in the Big 12, and they look very scary, especially with these 2 freshmen that they brought in. They are a very, very, very good team. But still to come, I mean, we're going to be joined by the voice of the Cats, Wyatt Thompson. He'll be joining us from Bloomington, Indiana. You want to talk about K-State now having, I think, no doubt its biggest test so far. Number 25, Indiana, is hosting K-State tomorrow night at Assembly Hall. Mm-hmm. So is K-State's playing in a historic arena that I don't think they've played in since the 80s?
No, not since Jack Hartman. Yep.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So it's been a minute. Hall of Famer Jack Hartman.
Yes.
Was just honored in Kansas City on Thursday. We'll talk with Wyatt, his thoughts on K-State falling to Utah. He'll get us set for K-State and Indiana tomorrow night that tips off at 7 o'clock. We got hour 2. Wildcat Insider. Coming up next, News Radio KMAN. Whether it's game day or a night out with great live music, Bottle Cap Sports Bar delivers the atmosphere you're looking for. It's Manhattan's go-to spot for catching every Wildcats or Chiefs game and enjoying live music that plays the songs you actually know. Come early for a good seat, great music, and cold drinks served up right. Stay in the loop. Check out their Facebook page for the full schedule of events. Bottle Caps, where the music's live, the game's always on, and the vibe is just right.
Bottle Cap Sports Bar located on West Anderson across from Dairy Queen.
Journey through a classic story of small wonders and big dreams.
Not a second can we spare, 'cause it all comes down to Christmas.
As one of America's favorite Yuletide movies comes to life, join Ralphie, his family, and best pals live on stage. We triple dog dare you to miss the smash hit A Christmas Story, the musical.
At Kansas State University's McCain Auditorium, December 10th. For tickets, call the box office or click online. Sponsored by Kohlmeyer Orthodontic.
American Family Insurance.
Here's something most people don't realize. American Family Insurance offers life insurance. If you have people who count on you, call Wild & Associates LLC today. Let's make sure your family's life insurance needs are covered. This is Rob Wild, agency owner, Wild & Associates, LLC.
American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating companies. American Family Life Insurance Company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Break in all the benefits of fall at Blueville Nursery. Fall is the perfect time to plant trees, shrubs, and perennials. Warmer soil temps and cooler air temps give plants just what they need to thrive and reduce stress next summer. Plant fall bulbs to get an early dose of color next spring. Don't forget to apply fertile and winterizer to your lawn. Louisville Garden Store is open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 4. Come give us a visit at Louisville Nursery, where you'll always find the friendly smile and expert advice. Located at the corner of Scenic Drive and Anderson and Manhattan.
I'm PJ Glasser, host of Send It In, here to help you beat the books with the BetMGM Network. Rivalry week in college football is here, and we got some awesome games this weekend, including the Iron Bowl between Alabama and Auburn. When these games are played at Jordan-Hare, they're always close, and I expect this one to be no different. I think Bama pulls out the win, but Auburn covers. Take the Tigers, plus 5.5. I'm PJ Glasser, host of Send It In on the BetMGM Network. Bet smarter and beat the books. Download the BetMGM app today, and please gamble responsibly.
My name is Whitney Allen. I am a widow. My husband Ryan died. We never thought in a million years we'd have to use life insurance. The unexpected happened. With Ethos, it is so fast and easy. It's 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage through Ethos.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/game. That's ETHOS.com/game.
Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Manhattan's home for news, sports, weather, and talk since 1950. News Radio, KMAN, Manhattan.
CBS News Brief. A federal judge dismissed the criminal cases against former FBI Director James Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James, saying the prosecutor was illegally appointed. They had argued vindictive prosecution. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt.
I wouldn't say he's going after them. I think the president is more determined than ever to see accountability in this country, yes, and to correct the wrongs of the weaponization of our justice system that we saw under the previous administration and Joe Biden.
Vicki Barker reports the military is investigating Senator Mark Kelly, who took part in a video that called on service members to ignore illegal orders.
The Pentagon is threatening to recall the retired Navy captain to active duty status in order to prosecute him. This, it says, over, quote, serious allegations of misconduct.
Kelly dismissed the investigation as the work of bullies and said if it's meant to intimidate him and others, it won't work. CBS News Brief, I'm Cammie McCormick.
Now, the latest news from the News Radio KMAN and Manhattan Mercury Newsroom.
Senator Moran requests NBAF to be exempted from a federal hiring freeze. Riley County gets set to launch a new online property information portal. And a Kansas native returns home to visit with Fort Riley soldiers. Hello, I'm Brandon Peoples. Here's a look at what's coming up in local news. U.S. Senator Jerry Moran is asking the U.S. Department of Agriculture to grant an exemption from the federal hiring freeze for key positions at the National Bio and Agri-Defense Facility in Manhattan. Moran says NBAF needs additional scientific and operational staff to finish critical repairs and reach full operating capacity. In a letter to USDA Secretary Brooke Rollins, Moran warned that staffing shortages could slow the facility's mission and threaten national food and agriculture security. Moran recently hosted Deputy Secretary Stephen Vaden in Manhattan to spotlight the research underway at NBAF, as well as K-State's Biosecurity Research Institute. He praised USDA for speeding up the facility's timeline and urged quick action to keep that progress on track. During the recent federal shutdown, only essential NBAF employees were allowed to continue working. Riley County is launching a new online property information portal next week, aimed at providing clearer data at no additional cost to the public. County staff selected the new platform Beacon, provided by Schneider Geospatial, to replace the current parcel search system. County appraiser Anna Burson says the new platform offers improved usability, expanded search functions, and data that's easier to read.
Beacon delivers clearer, more accessible information to the public with enhanced tools. It allows us to provide additional features at no added cost while significantly improving the user experience.
Some of the key features include property valuation and assessment information, advanced search tools and detailed property records, as well as interactive GIS maps and aerial imagery. Users can access the new Beacon site through the parcel search link on the county appraiser's site at rileycountyks.gov starting December 1st. That existing site will remain active until December 30th to allow for a smooth transition. A Kansas native returned home over the weekend. The Mercury's Lewis Marion reports.
Rob Riggles had his share of both comedic
Are you saying pow? What are you saying?
and more serious roles in entertainment.
If I were you, I'd get back to your desk and start studying intel on Afghanistan.
He's also served our nation. The actor, comedian, and retired Marine Lieutenant Colonel stopped by Fort Riley on Friday to talk about his life in both the military and entertainment industries. USO Kansas organized the meet and greet.
First of all, they were nice enough to invite me, so I'm very grateful for that. I want to go to military bases. I want to spend time with people that are serving and veterans. It means a lot to me. Plus, I've driven by Fort Riley. I can't even tell how many. I mean, at least 100 times, and never got to come on base. So this is my first time to actually come on base. And it's beautiful. It's exactly what I hoped it would be.
Most recently, Riggle released an autobiography titled Grit, Spit, and Never Quit, a Marine's Guide to Comedy and Life. He said it's a motivational memoir of sorts.
It talks about my show business journey, my military journey, and life in general. And I just hope that people will hopefully be able to do what I do. When I read biographies or memoirs, I like to pluck from what people have done and see if it applies to my life, and maybe they have a solution that I never thought of, or maybe they have an attitude towards a problem, or maybe they overcame something that it was beneficial on my journey, and then hopefully it will help them with theirs.
Look for photos and a complete story in the Tuesday edition of the Manhattan Mercury. Reporting on Fort Riley, Louis Marion, News Radio, KMAN.
As the Manhattan Optimist Club gears up for opening day at its annual Christmas tree lot, volunteers say they're preparing for one of their busiest weekends of the year. The tree lot officially opens on Thanksgiving Day and often sells most of its inventory the first weekend. Organizer Jim Frankie says about 50 volunteers help customers select trees, make fresh cuts, and load them onto vehicles, and it's all for a good cause.
This is our biggest fundraiser, and all the money that we earn, of course, we put into programs for kids in the Manhattan area.
Fellow club member Gene Clausen says the quality of trees is what keeps families coming back. Optimist Park is located behind Little Apple Toyota Honda off of Amherst and Sethchild. The tree lot opens Thanksgiving Day. It'll be open from 10 to noon and then also from 2 to 6, and then again 9 to 7 on Black Friday.
K-Man News brought to you by L&L Advisors. Local, genuine, and here for you.
News Radio, KMAN, weather.
Right now in Manhattan, overcast and 53 degrees. Some fog tonight with a low around 43. That fog sticking around until around 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. Once the fog clears out, a high near 54 and partly sunny skies. Wind could gust as high as 30 tomorrow out of the northwest. On Wednesday, mostly sunny and a high near 43, moving to Thanksgiving Day, sunny and a high near 45, 20% chance of rain afternoon on Friday.
Weather on News Radio KMAN is brought to you by Sunset Zoo. Come see Santa and walk the Luminary Trail November 29th and 30th. For tickets and times, visit sunsetzoo.com.
Great song. Back on Wildcat Insider, Led Zeppelin bringing us back in. Mitch Fortner, Tim Everson from the Manhattan Mercury and PowerCat Game Day. We got our final one of the regular season coming up on Saturday morning, 7 a.m. for PowerCat Game Day. 11 a.m. kickoff, Cats hosting Colorado. KC looking to become bowl eligible. That'd be for the 5th straight year, right? 5 straight years. Yep. Bowl eligibility, shout out to
since 2021.
Bowl streaks.
Yep.
Still to come, we're going to hear from Wyatt Thompson here in just a moment. How did K-State pull off the best rushing day in program history? Plus this week in the Big 12. Plus we got Big 12 basketball games going on today at the Players Era Festival. Right now, Iowa State up 4 points over St. John's, 62-58 in the second half, about midway through second half. Getting a couple of messages during the break here about things we're asked to be talked about. One I'm extremely baffled by. Basically, I'm not going to read the whole thing here, but it's basically about doesn't like Kleiman and comparing Kleiman to Ron Prince. Let me make this very, very clear. Ron Prince couldn't tie the shoes of Chris Kleiman. It's not even comparable. First of all, Ron Prince couldn't beat KU.
Correct.
And Chris Kleiman is beating KU. Now, did get KU during its best run, went to an Orange Bowl and all that stuff. Ron Prince also couldn't beat Missouri, couldn't beat Nebraska, couldn't beat anybody really that great, only went to one bowl game when bowl games were extremely important. Had really no, if I remember correctly, no defense.
Yeah. Tell you what, you talk to one player who played under Chris Kleiman and then one player who played under Ron Prince, and then you get back to me on the differences between the two men.
It is night and day.
Yeah, ridiculous comment. You should feel bad for saying it.
It was one of the worst.
You should feel bad.
Yeah, not great. Let's see, we also got some more texts in about the fans are not upset with Kleiman. We are upset with the 5 stars sucking up NIL money and not producing as well as the offensive coordinator. I mean, let's not. Are we putting blame on Lincoln Cure, or is this all on hiring Matt Wells as the OC and Matt not producing winning football?
Do you think that Dylan and Avery were 5 stars it is confusing. Blaming Lincoln is dumb. Matt Wells deserves criticism throughout the season, but not yesterday, not Saturday.
Well, and if this is pointing at Avery as being a problem,
yeah,
absolutely not.
Yeah,
absolutely not. I mean, right now he is dealing with K-State has some of the most drops in college football. They had 3 or 4 more against Utah. And I'll be the first to say that I'm not the biggest fan of what this offensive line has been this year. I think there have been some recruiting misses, some disappointing development on a couple of guys, including some seniors. Other than, Dylan Edwards hasn't played hardly all year. And Joe Jackson, you want to talk about just being a completely new level of a player against Utah. That was a big difference there. Because behind Dylan, it hadn't been really great, I would say. But also the offensive line comes into play in that. And there's been some disappointments with drops. I don't think Avery has been a problem one bit. Some inaccurate passes, yes, that has happened. That's been my criticism of him. Avery's been a lot better this year. A lot better.
Where this season would be without Avery is bad. Like, it's just, it would be worse. It would be worse. All due respect to Jacob Knuth and Blake Barnett and Dylan Duff, but their quarterback is not to blame here. There are many other forces at work that has K-State in the position that they're in.
Been wanting this offense to try to let Lincoln Cure loose and just go be a stud. They try to get him the ball in the end zone a couple of times. I would say one of them was a drop. Probably should have had a touchdown against Utah. He'll be fine, though. All right, let's get to our very special guest. I believe joining us now from Bloomington, Indiana. It is the voice of the Cats, Wyatt Thompson. Wyatt, have you been to Assembly Hall yet today?
We are here right now, actually. The team got here about 10 minutes ago. They're going to be here just getting up some shots and working on a few things for probably an hour. Then we'll go back to the hotel. The hotel is probably maybe a 10-minute drive from the arena. And, I was here years and years ago as a young kid for a 4-H event right after this facility opened in the early 70s, and I hadn't been in here for a game yet. I'm so excited because, Mitch, when you walk in here, and I took a little video of it that I can show you later, you would not believe what this thing really looks like in its entirety. And what I mean by that is, I've been doing this at the Division I level since 1989. I've never seen one with seats quite like this all the way to the top, and this might be the highest ceiling arena that I've been to in all of major college basketball. Pretty unique place.
Tim and we were just looking at pictures of Assembly Hall. It looks like the bleachers, even the lower level, like they look really steep. Is that true?
Yeah, it's pretty steep. The interesting part about it is that the bleachers only are on the floor level, basically. Once you get to what I would describe as the real seat sections, minus, again, the ends. You've got the band at one end, and I think you've got the students at the other and that kind of stuff. But once you get into the seat, it goes back a little bit, but it's more up than back. It's a very unique place, and I believe it opened in 71, if memory serves me correctly. They've seen a lot of basketball here, man. Since this facility opened up, they've won 3 national championships here. 76, the 50th year of it here this year, as they're celebrating that. You'll notice they'll have a little insignia on their uniforms on the front, on the chest tomorrow night. And then, of course, 81 and 87. So the basketball-rich facility, even though it's older, and traditionally one of the great programs in America.
Well, I'm glad we were able to get you back into Assembly Hall since last time you were judging corn husks or something. I don't know what you're doing at that 4-H event, but
showing livestock. Yeah.
Okay, the livestock route. Hey, what'd you think? What'd you think about K-State at the Hall of Fame Classic? We're still seeing a ton of offense. I was a little disappointed. We know the defense isn't great right now, but too many easy buckets against Nebraska. But what were your takeaways from Kansas City?
Well, the hard part against Nebraska was, even by his own admission in talking with Coach today, he felt like the team maybe had, I guess I'll say, in the beginning against the Huskers, they probably didn't share the ball like they did the night before against Mississippi State. It got them behind the 8 ball. It got them down double figures, and they really had to fight back to get into the ball game and give themselves a chance to win. Now, they did that, and you got to give them credit for that, but I think Coach would look at that as probably the biggest factor after the game, just because they didn't start well, and you put yourself in a double-digit hole. It's Nebraska's a better team, I think, than a lot of people would surmise them to be too, and I thought they played pretty well. So frustration with a loss, and you can probably point to a little bit of I don't know what you thought of the last a couple of the calls, but probably didn't get any favors there either, frankly, and I don't want to blame it on that, but reality is reality.
Oh, yeah, I forgot the foul, right as Nebraska got that rebound with a second to go. There were some thoughts that maybe was it a foul? What'd you think on that play?
Well, I would guess that it probably was a foul, but I think, just being as blunt as I can be here, I think a play like that under most circumstances would not be called with under a second to go to decide a game. I think they just let it. If there's some roughness, so be it. That's not how this one played out, though.
Okay. What's your thoughts on Indiana? The number 25 team in the nation. They're undefeated, and this is K-State's first true road matchup of the season.
I think the guys are looking forward to the matchup and trying to bounce back. That's one thing I didn't mention a moment ago that Coach talked about. They were pretty distraught with the loss, and that, to me, says a lot. I think this group really has a lot of pride, and you mentioned getting better defensively. I think they're going to continue to try to work to that, and we're really still early in the process here. And I think they have the potential to be better there. And I think we all that have watched so far like what they're doing offensively. And tomorrow they'll be challenged. What is Indiana? Well, Darren DeVries was at West Virginia for a year after a really great run at Drake prior to that. Tucker DeVries, his son, is here, and he's one of the top scorers on the team, along with the Wilkerson kid. Both of those guys are, 18, 19, 20 points a game. But they also have some other pieces. That's not all they have. In studying these guys, and I've watched a couple of games on tape, and we'll watch another one before we play tomorrow night. But it's not really all that hard to watch them and notice the following: good spacing, good ball movement. They really do a great job of moving and cutting and screening. They shoot the three more than most Indiana teams of recent memory will do. And with those two lead guys, they're pretty good. But I think they have a solid bench. They're not just unbelievably athletic or any of that. So I think we could have an awfully good game on our hands tomorrow night if K-State plays to their, higher level. Maybe not highest, but higher level. So very much looking forward to it.
Tips off at 7. Pregame will be at 6 here on News Radio KMAN. You're also in Salt Lake City, so you've been traveling all over the place here the last few days, and you called a loss 51-47 to the Utes there at Rice-Eccles Stadium. But I'm sure, like all of us, did you see this running game coming at all from K-State? Because most people were expecting K-State to get blown out on Saturday.
Well, I think everybody thought that it was going to be an exceptionally hard game, but I don't think anybody thought that we were going to see what we saw. Coach Kleiman mentioned to Stan and I in postgame afterwards that they kind of went back and used a run scheme that Connor Riley had used with great success a year ago, and clearly they hadn't used it this year, and you saw the dividends. So I walk away hugely disappointed with the ending of the game and another most difficult loss. And yet I am encouraged going forward. As they, and a lot of people will say, well, why didn't they figure it out before? That's a fair question, right? I mean, you agree with that. I think they would say, yeah, let's get it figured out a little quicker. But that was some kind of performance, man. 472 rushing yards, an average of 11.2 against that defense. It tells me that K-State is capable. Maybe a lot of the year they haven't played to their capabilities, and scheme maybe some of it, play calling maybe some of it, inconsistencies maybe some of it. But one thing I think this team has proven, if they're cut in and ready to roll, they're pretty decent. Inconsistent, yeah, but they've got a pretty good group of guys, I think. Are they as talented as you saw? No, but they gave him a scare, I can promise you that.
Joe Jack, watching him run the football, was there any area of his game that you felt like he took a big leap forward in not just running straight ahead and scoring touchdowns? Anything about his game that impressed you that helped K-State bust out those long runs?
I wouldn't say there's anything that really sticks out with Joe or for that matter, Antonio Martin. I think they've always kind of, not to say that Joe hasn't improved through the course of the year. I think we talked about this a few weeks ago where after the Arizona game on that Friday night, when K-State kind of circled the wagons and tried to get back to who they are, I think for a while they did a really pretty good job there. And I think in a 4-game stretch, the lone loss was at Baylor, and they blew a 2-score lead in the last 8 minutes of that game. So I think that's what I'm saying, that they have the abilities. What was different this time, though, I don't know that it's any more than A, scheme, and B, effort, and C, execution. Do you think that's a fair statement? I mean, they only threw for 102 yards. But when you throw for 102 and yet you rush for 470, a lot of things right. And they were able to, with that scheme, create some very big holes for those guys. And it was incredible watching it because I sat here and I look at some of the stats. I remember Joe Jackson with an 80-yard run. I think Antonio Martin's longest run was, 36 or 7 yards, 58 for Avery. They gashed them pretty good. And again, going back, I don't want to give all of the credit to the Connor Riley scheme, but I think it was a large part of it. And also, I think what happened was, too, is they got Utah a little bit discombobulated with they were pretty heavy 13 personnel in the game with lots of tight ends. I don't know that they were expecting that because, frankly, K-State didn't show that this year either, at least consistently as we saw it the other day.
Yeah, they play single high safety. Casey was going A-gap power, which I'm not the best describing what that is. We have Zach Nimacek on PowerCat Game Day. He's going to be able to explain that to us way better than I think I could. But it reminds me of what K-State – I know K-State ran in multiple games last year, but if you remember, Wyatt, the Colorado game and how DJ Giddens was able to rattle off these great, impressive runs, it to me, I don't know if you remember this, but it kind of reminds me of what they were able to do, the offensive line, in that Colorado game. That was kind of the same kind of execution.
Yeah, I think there are some similarities. That's probably a pretty good thought there. It's a really unique thing, and I'm like you. I don't want to be trying to even talk over my head here on the intricacies of the run game, but I do know that what results look like, and obviously there were a lot of guys besides those two running backs that were playing awfully good football, and who I mean by that. The offensive line was terrific that day, so again, have they been consistent? Not really, but I do think they're better than we've seen a lot of the times in this season for sure.
Post-game press conference, Chris Kleiman was pretty emotional about the loss and the speculation, the criticism is the word I'm trying to use here from the fans, the outside noise about the disappointment of the season. But you also talked to Kleiman post-game before we hear from him on the radio, was he emotional with you guys? Did he seem upset about the loss?
He wasn't as emotional with us as he was in the press conference. And there was, I would describe it as a pretty marked difference. But keep in mind now, sometimes after a hard loss, another 10 minutes can let some emotion speak in there. I guess I would say this, and I mean this as sincerely as I can say it. Whether you are a fan or a critic or maybe a little bit of both, I think there was a combination there that happened on Saturday and for the last few weeks that I think finally got to him, and thus the flood of emotion, I guess I will say, because you have, and I'm going to be just blunt here, okay? I think you have a guy who's been frustrated with the criticism of not just him, but of his team, and in some cases his staff. You have a team that's been inconsistent, a team that has fought injuries, all of those types of things. A team that worked really, really hard in putting together a great game plan and then didn't win. And then here's the reality part. I don't think I'm stretching this at all. I think the man was hugely frustrated with the officiating in the game, and I think all of that in combination was what led to what you saw in that post-game presser. I've known him for 7 years. I think he's a really good football coach, and I think he's, I think he thinks some of the criticism, and I'm talking about the smaller percentage than the larger percentage here, but some of it, I don't know if you'll agree with this or not, but I'll say it. It's been unfair. For the people, some of those people to ask for him to be fired right now, that's a joke, dude. I'm just going to be honest with you. That's a joke. It's not the way it works.
Yeah.
Remember in the summer when we were talking about, and I've said this before on your air, that everybody in Dallas is talking about him being the most consistent coach and winner in the Big 12 going into this season. Well, I still think he's that, but that's just me.
Yeah, I respect him certainly enough to realize that teams have a down year. Chris Kleiman is having a down year. It is disappointing, but I don't forget what's been done previous to that, how bad it can be, how bad it could be this season. I have as many as emotions, maybe not as negative, but I feel like I'm just as furious as everybody else about a disappointing season.
100%, and you should be. I don't think that's the problem that he has. There's nobody more frustrated with him about the inconsistencies than him and the staff and the players. I think you'd agree with that, wouldn't you? I mean, you remember before we left for Ireland, everybody thought this team could win 10 or 11 games, not only win the Big 12, but be a playoff team, right? I mean, that's kind of what everybody was pointing at. And they haven't really been anywhere in the hemisphere of that. So there's a lot to it. But again, I don't want to make this is a tough thing because I think you asked, so I'm telling you, I just think there's been a lot on his plate, and I think the emotion of all of that and everything that's happened with, everything from the inconsistencies, the injuries to Dylan Edwards to, all of that stuff is a factor. And if you want to call it excuses and you're mad for what I'm saying or what he's saying and doing, okay, we can't change that. But I just wanted to air what I think is the deal, and I think, he's pretty good at hiding his emotions most of the time. You see him on the sideline, but I think when you put all of that together over the last, not only the last couple of games or a few weeks, but a few months, it's been a huge frustration for him. And I think, after a loss like that and being, frankly, pissed about the officiating, you saw what happened. A couple of those calls were a joke, man. And I'm just going to be honest and say it. It's just what it is. That penalty.
Go ahead.
I still think, and even I guess he said it today. I just want an explanation on the penalty on the substitution infraction, because that was not a penalty.
No.
And they've admitted it wrongly, but apparently they haven't given him that explanation. Why? why not?
Good question. What was the other one you were upset with the most?
Well, again, full disclosure here, I haven't looked back at the tape, but I think there was a hold on the offensive line that wasn't really what I would disclose as or describe as clear and obvious. Didn't like the picking up of the flag in the end zone, the Lincoln Cure hold on the return. And again, if I sound like a whiner, so be it. But I think those are some of the things. I mean, you could tell, or I thought you could tell that, it wasn't the world's best officiated game in the Big 12 this season. Let's put it that way. You agree with that?
Yeah, I would agree. Absolutely.
100%. Yeah.
All right, Wyatt, I'd ask you about Colorado, but, they're, not doing too well. So.
Yeah, but they're dangerous because they have good athletes. And what you have to wonder is how much fight do they have left? And really, there's some speculation out there of whether Julian Lewis is playing or not, and I don't understand that, but I believe he will play. I mean, when you go from what they were last year to 3-8 now, they've had their share of frustration too.
Well, I'll just say this: if K-State can run for 400? What was it? 400? I had the number right in front of me. Just
72 yards.
472 yards against the second best rush defense in the Big 12 and one of the best in the nation. K-State should be able to run for a lot of yards against the third worst rush defense in the country.
Yeah, that's an accurate, fair statement. I think, you know what? Again, this is one of those that sometimes you get people crack on you for saying it, but this hasn't been anywhere near what they wanted it to be. But I think these guys are still hoping for a bowl season, and I think that's where their focus will be, up and above and beyond just doing what they need to do to beat Colorado.
Wyatt, we'll let you go. I'm thrilled for you to be able to be calling this game on Tuesday at a historic place, not Allen Fieldhouse, and hopefully it's a K-State win tomorrow.
Yeah, looking forward to it, buddy. Great talking to you, man.
Thanks, Wyatt. See ya.
You bet.
All right, that's the voice of the Wildcats, Wyatt Thompson, here on Wildcat Insider. Let's go ahead and take a break, and when we come back, I do want to give the running game its flowers and break down why I thought, why Coach thought that it was a successful day, and not just a successful day, a record-breaking day against Utah that lined K-State up to pull off one of the most surprising wins under the Chris Kleiman era that just didn't go K-State's way in the final couple of minutes. More on that coming up next, Wildcat Insider.
You're listening to Wildcat Insider.
Get ready for huge savings at Vanderbilt's Black Friday sale. Eddie Bauer hiking boots starting at only $49.99. Canyon Guide Western and flannel shirts are $17.99. Men's thermal-lined hoodies starting at only $14.99. Plus Carhartt sweatshirts starting at $36.99. Dry Shod Waymore neoprene boots just $88.88. And select Keen hikers blowout priced at $59.99. Hurry, deals run all week from the 24th to the 29th while supplies last, only at Vanderbilt.
Work boots and a Vanderbilt.
The Trust Company is an independent, locally owned wealth management and investment company founded right here in Manhattan in 1992. The motivation that drives your financial goals, your life, is unique to you and your family. You won't find boilerplate, template-driven, off-the-shelf financial services and strategies at the Trust Company, but planned thoughtfully and individually designed, tailored specifically to your hopes and dreams. The Trust Company, locally owned, client-focused. Our only allegiance is to you. Visit thetrustco.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the holidays. In this corner, the challengers, lacing up their boots, scanning the clues, ready to rumble, the hunters. And in the other corner, the reigning and defending champion of the holidays, the legendary Jingle Bell Rock, who will conquer the cold and claim the gold.
It's almost time for the biggest, brightest, merriest event of the year. The hunt for the G. Thomas Jewelers, Godfrey's Indoor Ranges and Tactical Supply Jingle Bell Rock is about to begin. Celebrate the season with the longest-running Shop Local campaign. For a shot at bragging rights, glory, and thousands of dollars in cash and prizes. Clues start Monday, December 1st. This could be the year you find the G. Thomas Jewelers, Godfrey's Indoor Ranges and Tactical Supply Jingle Bell Rock.
Caregiving can be incredibly demanding, and it's easy to feel overwhelmed. Let Leonardville Nursing Home provide you and your loved one with Senior Day services, available Monday through Friday from 9 to 5 with prior arrangements. Run your errands, go to work or appointments while we provide compassionate care for your senior. Our trained, caring staff provides nutritious meals, social activities, and a safe, supporting environment. Contact Leonardville Nursing Home for Senior Day services, an invaluable solution for both caregivers and seniors.
Shop till you drop at the Kansas Holiday Market and Food Truck Festival on Saturday, November 29th at the Flint Hills Discovery Center. From 2 until 7 p.m., support more than 30 small businesses and artists as you discover one-of-a-kind gifts from the Sunflower State. Get good eats from several area food trucks and enjoy a free carriage ride from 4 until 7 p.m. No admission is needed to shop or visit the food trucks. Learn more and see the full list of vendors at flinthillsdiscovery.org/market.
I'm Cole Dutchendorf with the Wildcat Insider Sports Update, brought to you by Bottled Cap Sports Bar. K-State football experienced an offensive revival on Saturday, but still unraveled into a painful defeat. Despite rolling to a program-high rushing total and leading by double digits twice in the second half, the Wildcats watched number 12 Utah erase its second 10-point deficit in the final minutes, falling 51-47 in a stunning road collapse. Up next, 5-6 K-State will host 3-8 Colorado for Senior Day on Saturday. Kickoff at 11 a.m. PowerCat Game Day coverage beginning at 7 in the morning, with K-State playing for bowl eligibility against the Buffaloes. K-State men's basketball nearly found a way Friday night, crawling out of a 15-point first-half hole, but the Wildcats fell 86-85 to undefeated Nebraska in the championship game of the Hall of Fame Classic in the T-Mobile Center. Nebraska hit a game-winning free throw with 0.6 of a second remaining in a game that featured 13 lead changes and 11 ties. K-State will play its first true road game Tuesday night as the Wildcats travel to face unbeaten Indiana at Assembly Hall, with tip set for 7 p.m. pregame at 6 on News Radio KMAN. K-State women's basketball lost on the road Saturday, falling at Green Bay 47-44. They'll now travel to Cancun, Mexico to take part in the Cancun Challenge for the first time since 2018.
Wildcat Insider continues. Mitch, Tim, Cole with you until 6 o'clock. You know, in our first hour of the show, I said there were 3 storylines to the loss Saturday against Utah. Number 1 was Chris Kleiman, emotional post-game, addressing how he is tired of the hate at his team, at his coaches, at him from, you know, the media or the fans. Tired of hearing about it. He cried at the press conference. We talked about that. Plus, storyline number 2 was that the officiating, controversial calls, picking up the flags, that K-State fans felt like it could have cost them the game, potentially cost them some points. So if you missed any of that, check out the podcast. Just search for The Game on 1350 KMAN, wherever you listen to your podcasts. We're live on YouTube. Plus, if you're watching on YouTube, if you don't mind hitting that subscribe button, and just search for wherever you listen to podcasts, you'll find Hour 1 of the show, plus a newsradiokman.com. Of course, the third storyline that we really haven't got to talk a whole lot about is K-State running for 472 yards, a program record. No K-State team has ever ran for that amount of yards in a single game. Do you know what the last time, the record that K-State broke, the previous record to reach that milestone? Does anybody have a clue? Did you read the post-game notes? Because I did. I got them right here in front of me.
It was, I'm forgetting it now, but it was a while ago, wasn't it?
It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yes. I will tell you, it was back in 1954.
That's right. Yeah.
1954, 439 yards. So K-State smashed the record. 439 yards against
Marshall.
No.
No.
But another male name. Think of a rapper.
Greg. Sorry. First male name that came to mind.
2 G's or 1 G?
Drake.
Drake.
The Drake. Yes, Drake.
There we go.
K-State ran for 439 yards. The second most yards a team has ran for this season for any college football team. The most this year we've seen, Florida State ran for 498 yards against Kent State. K-State's team rushing average of 11.2 yards was the highest by a Wildcat team in the Big 12 era. That's according to the post-game numbers from K-State in their post-game notes. K-State had runs of 44, 37, 18, 33, 66, 58, 80, 33, 11, and 24 yards. 10 runs of 11 yards or more in the game. Just a dominant, nobody saw coming, dominant display of running the football that we didn't see coming because K-State hadn't ran the football well at all this year. K-State only had one game this year where they ran for over 160 yards, 162 yards, and that was UCF with Dylan Edwards healthy. Ran for 266. Everything other than that was under 165 yards running the football. I mean, just take a look at the previous game. I mean, that was a game we thought K-State could run all day against Oklahoma State. They put 14 points on the board. A absolute disappointing performance of the offense. It was almost like Matt Wells in the offense beat Chris Kleiman to the punch and said, screw you guys. We're not going to listen to this outside noise. We're going to flip the table on you. We're going to run A-gap power down their throats. That's exactly what they did. And K-State runs for 472 yards and 5 touchdowns. K-State, other than that Utah game, the only other game that K-State ran for more than 2 touchdowns was against Kansas, and that was against 3 yards. Here's Chris Kleiman after the game about what K-State did differently in the running game.
Some gap scheme stuff, not zone scheme. People tried to run a lot of zone scheme. We thought we could run gap scheme against them. We went back to Connor Riley's going to be so proud of me. Connor's going to be so proud of me, man. I said, let's go back to A-gap power. And Rouse, we ran A-gap power and friggin' crushed it. And our kids were excited about it, and they didn't have a lot of answers for it.
So, and again, I'm not the best at describing what exactly A-gap power is. I don't know if that'd make for best radio, but, basically strong side of the offensive line. Creates this wall. The pulling guard from the weak side comes around along with the fullback. Gets right through there, builds a little hole, little gap there, and with Utah playing single high safety and with 2 linebackers, that left a couple of guys with them looking at kind of a cloud of dust in front of them to make a decision about what to do without really seeing where the play is going, or because really whoever the running back is going to have 2 lanes. And there's going to be one guy that needs to make a play. If you can get to that second level, you're gone. And it reminded me of the Colorado game last year. K-State ran A-gap power a lot, and that's how DJ Giddens with, working his magic as well. And, K-State certainly had to get a little lucky a couple of times. Plus, I will put on top of that single high safety or that linebacker, they made a lot of bad decisions on how to attack that K-State running game. Like, they made some bad decisions on where to go with their own play and certainly got off assignment, and K-State took advantage. So that was obviously a major factor. Another one I would say is that, Joe and Antonio, they had to make some tough runs. Like that first touchdown run that K-State had, that was a very John Hubert type of run where it is just bodies everywhere. It should be a 4-yard gain, and then all of a sudden just kind of squeaks through somehow and takes it to the end zone for a touchdown. Reminds me of the play against Oklahoma back in 2012, John Hubert, where K-State's in the red zone. Looks like he should be tackled, but he doesn't stop running, keeps the legs moving, scores a touchdown. K-State's up 2 scores. But in this case against Utah, K-State's the first team to get on the board with a dominant running game after going 3 and out and was stinking on offense in the first drive. And we thought, well, here we go. It's about what we thought. The offense not going anywhere. It's negative yards on the drive. There was a drop. Oh, God, here we go. It's the same old habits.
I don't really know what I want to do.
The offensive line, that came from me. I'm sorry, I don't know where that came from. But the offensive line was really disciplined. J.B. Nelson and John Pastore were the 2 that really jumped out to me the most about really just had a high level of execution. And then on top of that, specifically with Joe, I noticed it a lot more. He was finally given us some opportunities to make plays in open space. I mean, they have just not been able to get him in open space at all this year. And some of it could be because Joe has had some bad vision this year. I thought Joe's vision of making decisions and hitting the running lane and seeing those lanes open, there was a long run of I think it was maybe his 80-yard touchdown where he had to get out to the edge and he still had to beat a guy, put his foot in the dirt, made a cut, made a running back move. I just don't think we've seen Joe make a whole lot this year. So he and himself, I mean, has been needing to do a lot of growing as a running back, until, and I know it's just one game and it was so historic of a game, but it's, one game where he made a tremendous jump in just technique and being able to throw a little shake and bake. And also we saw him, somebody brought it up at the press conference, it looked like he was getting faster as the game went along. Well, probably a big part of that was because he was feeling it and his confidence was just so sky high because guess what? The offensive line was actually blocking for him in this Utah game. It was full of a lot of surprises. I think that's the simple way to put it. Just full of a lot of surprises and a lot of things that went right for K-State. And Utah made adjustments in the second half. That first half, it was a lot of bad defense by Utah, for sure.
Yeah, I also want to give credit. There was some good on those runs. There were some good downfield blocks too by wide receivers, and we talked about the Lincoln Cure block that eventually became a hold. But it all kind of came together. Kleiman, one of the things that he kind of praised most was how bought in the team was to this specific strategy, to this, they decided early on in the week that they were going to run the ball. That was the way that they were going to try to win, and it was the correct move. It's obviously sad that didn't translate into a win eventually. But, look at the other teams that Utah has played with Devin Dampier healthy. Look how that went, and compare that to what happened on Saturday. I mean, it's still pretty impressive.
Well, and I thought Devin Dampier was making some bad throws. I don't know if it was he just struggled to throw to the flats a little bit, especially in that first half. The defense is another story. I mean, they were getting beat up there a little bit. It wasn't a great. I mean, Utah's great on offense as well. They got that's a really good running offense. Devin Dampier is a pretty decent quarterback. Bert Ficklin, which is a great name. He's basically a skinnier belldozer, and he's able to run in these touchdowns to finish off drives. That was a pretty tough thing to stop that K-State really struggled with. But also remember, K-State is down their three best players. Maybe not three best, but three of their best players, especially with Ryan Davis picking up that targeting penalty, which still drives me nuts, and that was in the first quarter. We're getting a whole bunch of texts coming in. I'm trying to get to these guys from the 816. I think that's Missouri. Let's see. I got to catch up here. Honestly, talking about the record makes me more upset with the loss. I agree with that totally. The next text from this number is, don't give Wells credit. They had to use the old OC playbook. Well, you're talking about offensive line, and Connor Riley is the offensive line coach. Plus, Matt Wells was a part of the staff last year, but he was just a quarterback's coach. He wasn't calling the plays. I'm not going to discredit anybody. Honestly, Matt Wells called a great game.
Use what works.
He called his best game as a Wildcat offensive coordinator. I'm going to give him credit. He did.
Yeah, he did. I get it, and I've been frustrated with how the offense has been handled all year. And so I understand not wanting to give an inch on that regard, but you have to give him credit. Sure, that may have been a Connor Riley specialty, but he's got to be he's calling the plays.
But I'm not the first to say it. I do miss Connor Riley. I mean, we didn't know how good we had it until maybe we did know how good we had it. Just maybe a few things changed when he stepped into the OC role, and it wasn't perfect.
Right.
But we also have quite a bit of a different new offensive line this year compared to last year. And
and people complained last year too.
People did complain last year. A lot.
I'm pretty hard on, like, Coach Tang is hard on a point guard. I'm really hard on an offensive line because, so often does a lot have to go right to make a play successful, and anywhere it could go bad. It's just I feel like some of the players that should have been the best guys in the O-line, with the exception, like Sam Hecht and John Pastore have been good, but there's been other players that, like, it still should be good, and you've been in this program for a long time, and it hasn't been a great level of execution this year. Like, I've been very frustrated with Andrew Langgang this year. I don't think his play should have been – it wasn't where it should have been this year, and maybe not having Connor Riley this year has made an impact.
Taylor Portier has been rough off and on throughout the season, and he's the most experienced offensive lineman in the history of Kansas State football. So, I mean, it's been tough, and it's hard to divorce all of that from what happened on Saturday. I get that. But if you're just talking about what the offense did on Saturday, they put up the greatest rushing performance in school history.
Why didn't Kleiman call over the white hat for a discussion on the substitution penalty or the pickup of the flag? He just accepted it. I don't know. When it goes to commercial, if he gets an explanation or not, it's not like it's going to change anything.
Definitely had a conversation, but it's over.
Well, I will say I did want to see a conversation after the substitution penalty, and I don't think there was one. I could be mistaken. Maybe there was one afterwards, but again, it's not going to really change anything. But the Big 12, somebody owes Chris Kleiman an explanation. Certainly the officials, I thought, owed him one because it's not like K-State hadn't even done that earlier in the game, right? The substitution and maybe a little slow running off the field.
Well, on that point, K-State's on defense, right? And so you very well, there could have been another assistant coach that handled that conversation as play continued. I mean, Kleiman is, I think, probably a big part of defensive talks and everything. You can't just stop play completely.
And why I said it, maybe a reason also Kleiman was so pissed off after the game was because of the officiating. He has been ripping officials for weeks now.
Yeah, it's been a
This wasn't just Saturday.
Season.
I mean, it's been whatever. If you're not at the game, you see whatever it happens on TV. It's been Kleiman has been. I've never seen him in consecutive games just so pissed with penalties and with officiating. That could send anybody over the top as well. All right, we got to take our final timeout. We'll take a look at this week in the Big 12 after these words.
You're listening to Wildcat Insider.
This Saturday is Senior Day at Bill Snyder Family Stadium as the Wildcats wrap up the regular season hosting the Colorado Buffaloes. Kickoff is set for 11 a.m. That means Power Cat Game Day, the biggest pregame show in the Big 12, will start at 7 a.m. Power Cat Game Day brought to you by Prairie Land Partners, Orthopedic and Sports Medicine Center, Culver's, and the McCain Performance Series. Listen to Power Cat Game Day on 101.5 K-Rock, News Radio KMAN, and online at PowerCatGameDay.com.
Hi, this is Carrie Hall. My wife Lauren and I are senior citizens like many of you. We've had a Blue Cross and Blue Shield Medicare policy for the last 10 years. Medicare Advantage and Medicare Supplement plans all across Kansas, with many with zero or very low premium. Call today at 866-692-3077 or online at bcbskansas.com. We pride ourselves on being your hometown carrier. We're Main Street, not Wall Street.
Not available in Wyandotte or Johnson County.
This January 31st, the lights rise, the masks drop, and the mission begins. Light MHK presents The Light Within, a Phantom's Ball for Change. A full night of music, art, performance, and powerful purpose. Bid big in the live and silent auctions and help raise funds for those in our community seeking mental health care and support. It's transformation. It's inspiration. It's the light that lives inside us all. Get your tickets now at lightmhk.com. That's lightmhk.com. Presented by Manhattan Broadcasting and Light MHK. Lighting the way to change.
Are you prepared for the future? Ensuring your legacy and protecting your loved ones start with estate planning from Adair Law. From wills to trust to powers of attorney, the team at Adair Law will create a personalized plan that reflects your wishes and secures your assets for generations to come. Thinking about the future isn't always easy, but planning your estate can be. With the DARE law, you can protect what matters most, your family and your legacy. Don't leave their future to chance. Secure your peace of mind today with the DARE law. Protecting clients with compassion is what they do. Call 785-776-2000 today.
If Kansas weather has taught us anything, it's to be prepared for everything. It's time to call M&S Plumbing, Heating and Air to make sure your furnace is ready. From full safety inspections to replacing your furnace, M&S Plumbing will keep you and your family warm this winter. If it's been a while since you've had your furnace serviced and inspected, be sure to call and schedule your appointment today. Simple fixes now can save you big money later.
Call the experts who care. M&S Plumbing, Heating and Air.
I got another text. Our biggest loss is a strength and conditioning coach. Too many hurt people out there. Too many people hurt out there. I don't know. Maybe it's on the nutritionist. Not eating enough carrots and not drinking enough milk. I don't know.
I think the strength and conditioning strategy in the offseason leading into the game in Dublin, and kind of they handled that a little differently. I think that is definitely something to look at going into next year.
Yeah, maybe.
I think that is 100% fair. But I don't blame. I'm blanking on the guy's name that took over.
Oh gosh, dang it! Now I'm forgetting as well.
I don't. He doesn't get to make those decisions in a vacuum. He sits down with Kleiman. And honestly, that's probably a decision that was made before that changeover happened. They started planning for this trip to Dublin a while ago.
Ray Thomas.
Ray Thomas.
Yeah, he was already on staff. He was already on staff. So, I mean, this isn't going to be just one person here. It's a team effort when you win. It's a team effort when you lose. Well, I can tell you this weekend, Texas Tech and BYU are going to win their games. They're going to go to Arlington. Texas Tech is going to win that Big 12 championship game. Utah, I wonder how the committee will look at Utah, coming down to a nail-biter with K-State, how that may affect them. I'm not quite sure.
Maybe looking to put up some style points.
But on top of that, yes, Utah, please put up all the style points you could possibly put up this weekend, because on Friday they take on the KU Jayhawks. That's going to wrap it up for Cole, Tim, Mitch. Our last show of the week is tomorrow. Go Cats.
Getting you closer to the locker room than anyone else. This is Wildcat Insider. Wildcat Insider, an exclusive presentation of the flagship station of the K-State Sports Network. News Radio 1350, KMAN.